You are with the big story here. I'm Seher Zama. We're making a start with the focus regarding the spread of coronavirus. New advisories, new measures that have been announced by the government now. With over 3,000 people having globally died so far, over 80,000 people being infected with the virus. Cases and death figures rising. India is closely monitoring the situation here. New cases that have emerged in the country, one reported from Delhi, another positive case from Telangana, and this takes the total number of cases in India to 5 so far. Union Health Minister Dr Harsh Vardhan saying that one of the patients recently travelled to Italy. Remember, Italy is one of the countries that has been flagged off, and the other one had travelled to Dubai. Both patients now under observation, including their family. Let's get you specific details coming in from each respective state here in India. In Karnataka, the state health minister, Shri Malu, has called for an emergency meeting of officials. This is in Bengaluru today, and this after a positive coronavirus case was detected in Telangana. The patient is a resident of Bengaluru, recently returned from Dubai, following which he had then travelled to Telangana. Let's get in further details. Our correspondent Srija is getting us more inputs on this case here. And also, Srija, with respect to the travel history of this particular patient, does this mean government advisories are also to change now?
Well, it is not just to do with this particular case, Seher. It's been almost a month or so. What we understand, the health department here in Karnataka, they have also set up a health line, a Sahyavani, especially for people to talk about in case they have any doubts of as far as the symptom goes. To talk about the latest case, what we understand is that the health minister, Karnataka Health Minister Sri Ramalu, he had convened an emergency meeting with the health department and other officials also to brief about the situation. Remember, this particular young techie that we're talking about, however, they have not divulged much details of this particular techie, but what we do know so far is that he hails from Hyderabad, and he was right here in Bengaluru for work purpose. Remember, he was also sent by the software company here in the city of Bengaluru to especially to attend an official meeting, and he had finished the official meeting for 3 days, and he had returned to Bengaluru. So what we understand is that he had symptoms of cough and fever. However, he went only once after he reached Hyderabad. He in fact checked in as an outpatient at Apollo Hospital, but for over 7 days he was treated as just as any other normal patient. But after which, what we understand, since the symptoms did not subside, we see that he was immediately checked, especially for coronavirus. So what we understand as far as Karnataka is concerned, right now, definitely the state has a very huge task to track especially the people who had come in contact with this particular 25-year-old techie, because remember, soon after his return from Dubai, he was right here in Bengaluru for at least about 3 days, and according to the health department, they tell us that he had come in contact with at least 80 people, and we also hear, in fact, that they do not want to divulge the details.
So, Srija, this would include not just coming in contact with people in the city, but fellow passengers and crew members as well. What on that front? Any update coming in what the state health minister here has said with respect to also tracking fellow passengers who arrived with him here in the same flight and the crew members of the airlines?
Well, that's right, Seher. In fact, right now, the Karnataka department, especially as far as the health department is concerned, they're trying to track not just the persons who had come in contact with this particular techie, but they're also trying to trace the location of who the passengers were on that particular flight. Because remember, he did point to one major point, what we understand as far as the health minister is concerned. He did point to the fact that when a question was asked to him as to how did the lapse happen at the airport, he also did point to the fact that he is trying to investigate and also check in with the officials, because remember, so far over 2,000 people have been screened right here at Kempegowda International Airport, and one among them was this particular techie.
Yes.
So how did especially the screening was not tested as far as positive right here in Bengaluru, but instead it was tested in Telangana. Now that is something for the Karnataka government to answer.
All right, well pointed there, Srija, on whether this case now should be taken in as a lapse at the airport screening process here, because there's a second case here, and this is for a patient who was screened at the Delhi airport while he returned from Italy. Remember, Italy being on the list that has already been flagged off there. This is regarding a fallout of the case of the Delhi patient. A renowned school in Noida has now shut for the day. the child of the Delhi resident who was recently confirmed as a coronavirus, studies in this school. The school that has been shut for the day for fumigation. Samples of 2 students have been collected as well. Examinations have been postponed for the day as well. We're getting in further inputs. Our correspondent Ayushman getting us those details here. Ayushman, this is of course one decision that has been taken by the school here in Noida. What more do we know about this, please?
Well, sir, in this school, right now the principal has written that from 4th till 6th of March, the school will be closed, and currently the fumigation process is on in the school. And we also met the Chief Medical Officer of Gautam Budh Nagar, who said that the person who is actually a confirmed case of coronavirus, he came here and there was a gathering which took place. So they are also ascertaining the details and checking and also re-verifying for all those people who came in contact with this person. And they have asked that school should fumigate all these classrooms and also the buses which are there. And that is why the school has written to the parents that very soon the school will be following all the norms, and has also advised the parents that if any case of high fever or flu comes to their notice, they must not visit any private hospital but should directly report to Safdarjung or RML. Currently, we are being told that the school is being closed from today as well as till 6. The school will be closed and the fumigation process in the school is on.
Yes, Ayushman, stay on with us because we'll be getting in more inputs and it's important that we deal with every breaking input with caution, not create any panic, because this is of course closely being watched with each of us across the country, all our viewers here as well, with respect to what is real input that is coming in and the precautions that need to be taken. This is regarding 6 people who are now suspected. Remember, this is a case of suspected to be infected with coronavirus in Agra. 6 of these people in isolation. Their samples that have now been sent to Pune for confirmation on whether they are positive or not. The group of people who came in contact with the coronavirus patient. So, Ayushman, this is of course with respect to on 2 fronts. One, questions are going to be asked given the travel history of the confirmed patient here in Delhi. Traveling from Italy, what was the screening process in the airport? Was the check not enough? And now going back to that list of passengers and crews and getting in touch with those people and testing them as well.
Well, sir, a very important point, because if you remember, the government has now also notified that Iran and Italy will also be considered as one of the checkpoint, as the countries from where if the passengers are coming, the universal screening will be taking place. The DGCA has ordered that now, and for that we have got from the Health Ministry, in which 6 people who have been tested of high viral load. Remember, high viral load is a scenario where in the blood the viral infection is seen in the high percentage. Currently, the samples have been sent for testing in Pune, and there is no confirmation. These are only suspects. So far, the Health Ministry has said that these 6 people were in contact with the person who has been ascertained as the confirmed case. And once these samples are if these samples are positively tested, then again the entire process will once again it will begin, because again these people whosoever must have been there in contact, then again that identification will be done. But currently we are getting to know from that side is that this person who has been identified as the positive one, he was in contact with these 6 people, and their samples have been sent, and the results are awaited.
All right, Ayushman, please stay on with us. We were getting in more breaking inputs here. This is, of course, with respect to the government advisory, which has now been updated. The government having advised a fresh advisory. This is related to the coronavirus scare and how things are working on ground. So all visas that are granted to citizens of Italy, Iran, South Korea and Japan have been issued or before this year. These are breaking inputs coming in. We're switching focus now to discussions which are on in the Lok Sabha. Remember, there has been a ruckus in both houses today as well. Lok Sabha resumes business 2 p.m. Let's take a listen in.
अनुसूचित जनजाति सामाजिक कल्याण पर चर्चा करना चाहते हैं। सामाजिक कल्याण का विषय बहुत महत्वपूर्ण है। आपके मुख्य सचेतक ने कहा कि सामाजिक कल्याण पर चर्चा होना चाहिए, 2 दिन तक चर्चा होना चाहिए। समाज कल्याण विषय पर चर्चा नहीं करना चाहते हैं। आप दलित शोषित पीड़ित व्यक्तियों पर चर्चा नहीं करना चाहते हैं। सदन में हल्ला करने आए क्या? चर्चा करो, संवाद करो, बातचीत करो। लोकतंत्र के मंदिर में मैं आप सबको आग्रहपूर्वक निवेदन करता हूं कि आप चर्चा करें, संवाद करें। सहमति असहमति हो सकती है, लेकिन सदन में चर्चा होनी चाहिए। अध्यक्ष चर्चा तय करो, टाइम आपको तय करना, डेट आपको तय करनी है। चर्चा के लिए तैयार है। सदस्यों को नियम 377 के अधीन
is absolutely the need of the hour. We've had in this country very recently the Punjab Maharashtra Cooperative Bank, which is a multi-state cooperative bank, which unfortunately has put a lot of depositors, small, medium-sized depositors, to difficulty. Constantly, there is this request that the government should do something about it. Under Prime Minister Modi, we have ensured that the deposit into insurance be increased from 1 lakh to 5 lakhs, so that common citizens who have saved their money can be sure that whatever be the difficulty, their money will be safe in the bank. But if opposition thinks they can solve the demands of the small deposit holders who are looking up to the government for some activity, for some protection, and if the small and medium depositors are being denied their rights, it is shame. It's a shame. They are against all the small and medium depositors of this country. The small and medium depositors.
मैंने आसन से व्यवस्था दे रखी है। एक भी मान्य सदस्य ने क्रॉस बॉर्डर किया, चाहे इधर के हो चाहे इधर के हो, मैं इमीडिएटली पूरे सत्र के लिए निलंबित कर दूंगा। बैठिए, बैठिए, आप बैठिए, बैठिए।
And we have raised the deposit insurance from 1 lakh to 5 lakh in order that we give the protection. Now, at this time, without this amendment, the depositors are going to be in difficulty. So I appeal to everybody to please take into consideration this amendment.
के अधीन जो भी मामले हो सदा पटल पर रख दीजिए। नियम 377 के अधीन जो भी मामले हो सदन के पटल पर रख दीजिए। आप ऐसा मत करिए, मैं आपसे आग्रह कर रहा हूं, व्यक्तिगत रूप से आग्रह कर रहा हूं, अपनी सीट पे जाइए। मैं जिन विषयों पर आप कह रहे हैं विषय पर सरकार चर्चा करने को तैयार है, मैं सरकार चर्चा करने को तैयार हूं, विस्तृत चर्चा करने को तैयार हूं। आप विषय पर रखें, नारेबाजी नहीं करें। नारेबाजी के लिए सदन के बाहर नारेबाजी करें, आप चर्चा करें। महत्वपूर्ण बिल है, महत्वपूर्ण बिल है, माननीय स्वयं महत्वपूर्ण बिल है। आप बैठिए। प्रश्न है कि विधेयक पर विचार किया जाए। जो सदस्य इसके पक्ष में आ गए, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। हाँ वालों के पक्ष में विधेयक पर विचार करने तो प्रस्ताव को स्वीकृत किया गया। अब सभा विधेयक पर खंडवा विचार करेगी। शोकत राय जी संसद संख्या 1, एन के पंचायत संसद संख्या 11। माननीय मंत्री जी संशोधन संख्या 13 से 15। माननीय सर बैठो ना चर्चा।
Sir, I introduced the bill with amendments.
मंत्री जी साहब प्रस्तुत संशोधन 30 से 15 को स्वीकृत किया जाए। जो सदस्य पक्ष में आ गए, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में संशोधन स्वीकृत हुआ। प्रश्न है कि खंड 2 विधेयक के बाद संशोधित विधेयकांग बने। जो सदस्य के पक्ष में आ गए, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में निर्णय स्वीकृत किया। शोकत राय जी सुरेश जी, नो। माननीय मंत्री जी, नो। आप चर्चा करो ना, मैं चर्चा कराऊंगा आपकी, मैं चर्चा करने को तैयार हूँ आपको। अधीर रंजन जी, आप चर्चा कराइए। संशोधन संख्या 16
and for matters connected therewith,
माननीय मंत्री
consideration.
16-17 स्वीकृत किया जाए। जो सदस्य के पक्ष में हाँ गए, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में संशोधन स्वीकृत हुआ। नो। प्रश्न है कि खंड 3 संशोधित विधेयक अंग बने। जो सदस्य के पक्ष में हाँ गए, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में, हाँ वालों के अक्सर खंड विधेयक अंग बने। स्वागत है संशोधन संख्या 4 और 5। माननीय मंत्री संशोधन संख्या 418
I move the amendment, sir.
नो। प्रश्न है मंत्री जनाब प्रस्तुत संशोधन स्वीकृत किया जाए। जो सदस्य के पक्ष में हाँ गए, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में, हाँ वालों के संशोधन स्वीकृत हुआ। प्रश्न है खंड 4 विधेयक अंग बने। जो सदस्य के पक्ष में हाँ गए, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 4 यथा संशोधित विधेयक अंग बने। स्वागत है जी। माननीय मंत्री जी संशोधन संख्या 19 अमेंडमेंट नंबर 19।
Sir, I moved the amendment.
माननीय तरीका नहीं है भाई, चर्चा नहीं ठीक है। प्रश्न है कि नो। मंत्री जनाब प्रस्तुत संशोधन संख्या 19 को स्वीकृत किया जाए। जो सदस्य के पक्ष में हाँ गए, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में, हाँ वालों संशोधन स्वीकृत हुआ। प्रश्न है खंड 5 विधेयक यथासंख्या अंग बने। जो सदस्य के पक्ष में हाँ गए, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में। खंड 5 यथासंख्या विधेयक अंग नो। प्रश्न है खंड 6 विधेयक अंग बने। जो सदस्य के पक्ष में हाँ गए, जो सदस्य विरोध में ना गए, मेरे विचार में निर्णय हाँ वालों के पक्ष में, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ, हाँ वालों के पक्ष में हुआ। खंड 6 विधेयक अंग बने। नो। नो। स्वागत है जरा प्रस्तुत संशोधन संख्या 8 स्वीकृत किया जाए। सदस्य के पक्ष में हाँ गए, जो सदस्य विरोध में आ गए। माननीय मंत्री संशोधन संख्या 20 नो। नो। आप बैठिए, आप सदस्य अपनी सीटों बैठिए। सत्ता पक्ष के सदस्य मान्य अपनी सीटों बैठिए। आप अपनी सीटों बैठिए। आप अपनी सीट पर बैठिए। आप अपनी सीट में बैठिए। मैडम, मैडम इनको समझाइए। अपनी सीट में बैठे सब, अपनी सीट में बैठे सब, अपनी सीट में बैठो, अपनी सीट में बैठो। मैडम आप सीट में बैठो अपनी पे, आप सीट में बैठिए अपनी पे, सीट में बैठिए अपनी पे। आप बैठिए अपनी सीट पे, बैठिए। हाँ हाँ एक मिनट बात सुनिए। सदन की कार्रवाई 11 बजे तक के लिए स्थगित की जाती है।
All right, Lok Sabha having adjourned till tomorrow 11 a.m. But this is, of course, not before the Finance Minister moved the bill of Banking Regulation Amendment Bill 2019. That has been moved by the Finance Minister, introduced. Further discussions on this, of course, have not been managed to take place. Remember, the Speaker said this ruckus cannot continue, as the opposition has continuously been asking for a discussion to take place on the Delhi riots. A date for that has still not been given yet in the Lok Sabha for the Speaker to agree. The opposition continues to protest, because of which Lok Sabha has now been adjourned for the day. We are switching the focus back now as far as coronavirus is concerned, and several questions that each of us have on our minds on how to be careful, how to be mindful, attentive regarding the spread of coronavirus and what we can do at our end in everyday life. Let's get in a word. We appreciate Dr. Vivek Nangia being with us this afternoon for the big story, senior pulmonologist at the Fortis Hospital. Dr. Nangia, many thanks for being with us here. A lot of questions in people's mind on how to differentiate, on how to ascertain whether we're not suffering from regular seasonal flu and when to know it's time to go to the doctor regarding a coronavirus suspicion.
So, that's a very difficult question to answer because there is no way you can actually differentiate without performing a test because the symptoms would be similar: cough, cold, fever, breathlessness, maybe some degree of chest pain, sore throat. So it's only after the diagnostic test has been performed can one actually confirm whether this is coronavirus or any other simple flu. But especially if there's a strong history of travel or coming in contact with somebody who's traveled recently abroad. So such an individual must report to the authorized centers and get himself or herself tested properly.
All right. Dr. Nangia, there are several precautions, of course, that one needs to keep in mind. Also, if you're suffering from a wet flu or if it's a dry flu, and everyday precautions, not just basis personal hygiene, but something in your diet that can help.
So basically, the issue with coronavirus is, and why we are so scared of this coronavirus is that it's a novel virus. It's actually a mutated version of the usual coronavirus that used to be there always in the environment and even in our own bodies. So because it is mutated now, we don't have an immune response or an immune defense mechanism towards this virus. And that is why we know that it can actually cause devastation in our body. Unfortunately, so far, there's no vaccine that has been evolved. Although I know that scientists who are working on it, but definitely it'll take time for a new vaccine to come into place. Till then, and also there are no medication. There's no specific antiviral medication that can be used targeted towards the coronavirus. So unfortunately, we are only left with certain protective measures that can help us from acquiring a corona infection.
Okay.
One is that we have to go back to our conventional, traditional Indian style of salutation, which was the namaskar, rather than the handshakes and the cheek, the pecks that we've moved on to. Those we have to go away from completely. Maintain complete hygiene, hand hygiene. It's always a good idea to carry a hand sanitizer, small hand rubs with you all the time, because this virus spreads by two mechanisms. One is by the droplet mechanism. That is, if I'm coughing, I'm sneezing while I'm talking, there would be some droplets that spread in the air around me. And if I'm infected, those droplets would be carrying the viruses. Yes. So anybody in that environment within a distance of 1 meter is likely to catch that infection also. So one is that if I am infected today, I need to follow certain precautions, that I need to use some tissue into which I should be coughing, keeping my nose and mouth covered all the time. If I don't have an access to a tissue paper, then probably be coughing into my arm like this, so that all is trapped here and is not spread into the environment. Then besides that, it can also spread through contact.
Dr. Nangia, do you feel it's as important to be wearing a mask? Yes.
Right.
Does
so
it help to be wearing a mask in most public spaces? Because we don't see that happening as often here.
Let me explain that to you. So, there are two types of masks that are available. Yeah, exactly. So that's what I was going to say, that there are two types of masks that are available in the market. One are the usual surgical masks. Those are the thin layered ones or the triple layered ones. And then we have the N95 masks. So the triple layered masks are basically to be used by anybody who has symptoms himself or herself. Like if I have a cold and cough today, actually what I should be doing is wearing a mask and isolating myself from the family, staying in one corner from the family, from the, from the society totally. So there's some self-control that we need to exhibit in this kind of a situation, rather than trying to show ourselves to be very brave, that we're using masks and we are taking medicines and then be roaming around. So that is something that we need to not do at all. So this is as far as the surgical mask is concerned. This is to be used only for those people who are suffering with symptoms, cough, cold, phlegm. They should be keeping themselves covered with a surgical mask so that they don't spread it to other people around them. And as far as the other N95 mask is concerned, that is to be used only by healthcare workers when the patient is admitted, when there is an exposure to their droplets, only then, not otherwise. So basically, wearing masks and roaming around in the city is not a good idea, because you're only going to, even once the mask gets moistened, then the chances of spread of infection are even higher.
All right, Dr. Nangia, well pointed out. We really appreciate you speaking with us, being with us this afternoon. Of course, we hadn't much time with you with cutting into the Lok Sabha proceedings there. But this is important information that you've shared with us. At the end of the day, of course, the big takeaway here is while the government continues to take its own measures of preventive measures, screening at the airports here, of passengers stepping in, entering the country, on our end, of course, basic hygiene, basic primary hygiene is the answer to keep yourself safe. Thanks for being with us.